and welcome to the Aussie Football Passport, your one-stop pod for updates on your favourite Aussie men and women who are playing their club careers abroad. I'm your host, Alex, and this week there is plenty to cover as our under-23 women are crowned ASEAN champions, ParaMatildas updates from their Intercontinental Cup tournament, national team selections for our men's teams. There are also awards to one of our Aussies abroad, and of course, plenty of club action to cover from the past week in the footballing world. And after a couple of weeks off, we've got a couple of transfer rumours to go through. So the transfer window, of course, is nearing its end, and the rumours are only getting stronger at this point in time. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into the news headlines. All right, as promised, let's get into the transfer rumour mill where we've got Mathew Ryan reportedly drawing interest from Spanish La Liga club Levante of late. He's also been linked with offers from the Turkish Super League, particularly Rizespor and Antalyaspor. So let's see what happens with Mathew Ryan. Of course, earlier in the transfer window, we talked about him being linked with a couple of French clubs and also a return to AZ Alkmaar, but nothing has come through as of yet, which is a little bit worrying, but there is still time. Of course, the European transfer window typically shuts for most countries on the 1st of September. So still a week and a bit to go for Matty. All right. Now, Marco Tilio, this is turning into a bit of a saga for poor old Marco. He's reportedly close to signing with Austria Vienna on a permanent deal from Celtic. Celtic, of course, have dug their heels in until a replacement has been found, but Brendan Rodgers is at war with the Celtic board at the moment. So all very interesting there in Scotland. And let's just hope that Marco gets his move sooner rather than later. Now, another one who's caught the eye, it's Mohamed Toure. He's drawn the interest from Austrian club Sturm Graz. So yet another Aussie on their way to Austria. Let's wait and see. All right, now for other news headlines, well, one of the podcast favourites, Nectar Triantis, he has officially switched his national allegiance to Greece. So that means we will no longer be covering him on the pod as a result. So you'll have to go on some sort of Greek podcast to follow his career, unfortunately. But I will put a little bit of a conclusion on that one to let you know that he has signed a 4-year deal with Minnesota United in the MLS after what seems like an eternity and being linked to every single club along the way. So all the best to Nectar in his career. All right, now the ParaMatildas, of course, we talked about them the past couple of weeks as they prepared for the Intercontinental Cup. Well, it has been run and done, and they finished runners-up. They're losing the final to the USA 7-1, unfortunately. They also did lose their last group game with the USA. That one ended 5-0, but it wasn't all doom and gloom for our girls as they beat Denmark 5-1 in the tournament opener. They then got past the Netherlands 6-2 and Nepal 5-0. So all in all, a good tournament. Obviously, they would have loved to have won it, but still a pretty good showing from the girls and something for them to build on as they progress towards the next tournament. All right, now the Australian under-23s squad has claimed a 1-0 victory over Myanmar, who, of course, they lost to in their opening game in the ASEAN Championship. So that means that they have now won the ASEAN Championship. So well done to our ladies there. Holly Furphy continued her wonderful tournament with the goal in the 66th minute. So congratulations to our girls. Hopefully a sign of things to come and many, many of those names hopefully progressing to the senior Matildas squad. Now, speaking of Matildas, Mary Fowler was selected in the 2024/2025 PFA WSL Team of the Year as voted by her professionals, or fellow professionals, I should say, across England's top division. So that's the first time she's been named in the Team of the Year and comes off the back of a season where she scored 6 goals and provided 7 assists for her club side, Manchester City. And of course, her season was cut short in April with that ACL injury. However, in good timing for good news surrounding Mary Fowler, she has shared pictures of herself back in training this week. So fingers crossed she continues her recovery and we see her back on the pitch sooner rather than later because she is a genuine superstar. All right. Now, let's go down to our junior Matildas, the under-16s. They've opened their ASEAN Championship campaign in style, overcoming Thailand 2-1. And Thailand, of course, are the defending champions of that tournament. The breakthrough in that one came through in the 16th minute when Aaron Tarrant curled a free kick and found Maeve Nichols, who rose above the defence to head home that one. The girls had to wait until the 67th minute to get their second. It was vice captain Kaya Jugovic who unleashed a stunning long range strike from outside the box there. Thailand pulled a goal back in the 87th minute to set up a tense finish. 7 minutes of added time there as well as Thailand pushed hard for an equaliser, but Australia's defence stood tall under pressure. All right, the girls then followed up that win with a second victory, this time against Singapore, and it was 3-0, and they stay on top of Group C there. That result means that they booked their spot in the final four of the tournament. Coach Mike Cooper made 8 changes to the side that defeated Thailand for the one against Singapore. So we will bring you updates on how they progress further into the tournament next week's episode. All right, now I just want to put in a quick note to recognise the 50th anniversary of the Matildas and their participation in the first ever Women's Asian Cup. So what a storied history and a moment to reflect on how far our ladies national team has come. All right, now let's round it out with some men's news. And Tony Vidmar has named his under-23 men's side to travel to Saudi Arabia for the Asian Cup qualifiers. It is a 24-man squad, and the boys will be playing China, Northern Mariana Islands, and Timor-Leste. The squad is headlined by a couple of Aussie lads who are currently playing in the English Championship, or the second division there, in the form of Portsmouth Adrian Segacic and QPR's Keely Adamson. Quite interesting to note that Adrian has been named in the under-23s side, as a lot of people did have him being selected for the senior side with the upcoming friendlies against New Zealand coming up. So very interesting. Of course, under-23 side has been named before the senior side, and the senior side is believed to be being announced at the end of this week. So we'll stay tuned for that one, and let's see if Adrian ends up progressing to the senior side. Anyway, the games for our under-23s will take place on the 3rd, 6th and 9th of September. But don't worry, we will update you on the lads' progress in the tournament in the coming weeks. All right, that is it for the headlines for this week. Next, we will move on to the weekly wrap. All right, it's weekly wrap time, and let's start with our ladies in the United States of America, where Mackenzie Arnold played the full game between the posts for Portland Thorns in an unfortunate 2-0 loss to Kansas City Current. Caitlin Torpey, she did not get off the bench in that one, but was in the matchday squad. Now, Morgan Aquino, she also played a full game in between the sticks for DC Power FC in their 3-1 win over Sporting Jacks in the USL. Now, a bit of an interesting one here. The USL is also the top division in the US, but is not the USWSL, I should say. So just American things just makes things really confusing for people trying to follow football from outside the USA. You keep doing you, America. All right, let's move on to Sweden, and Kristianstad went down to Hammarby 1-0, and our ladies, Amy Sayer, she played a full game while Remy Simonson played 73 minutes of that one. Courtney Nevin continues her hot form with a full game for her side Malmo in a highly entertaining 5-2 win over Brompokana. Apologies, Swedish listeners. Jada Wyman, she got a full game for AIK in goal as they went down 1-0 to Djurgården there. Now, Avi Luik, she played the full game in BK Häcken's 3-1 loss to IFK Norrköping as well. And to round out the action in Sweden, we did have an Australian derby between Linköping and Vittsjö. It ended in Linköping's favour 3-0. Daniela Galic, she played the full game for the losing side, while Polly Doran played the full game for the victors. Now over to England, where the WSL sides are ramping up their pre-season as they work towards the season kickoff in September. And there was nothing like a little bit of a friendly North London derby between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal, where Tottenham ran away 4-3 winners in that one. Steph Catley and Kyra Cooney-Cross started for Arsenal, while Charlie Grant and Claire Hunt started for Tottenham. Caitlin Ford came off the bench and actually scored one of her side's 3 goals and was assisted by Steph Catley in that one. Now over to Germany, where Sian Fryer came off the bench in the 76th minute and managed to score the match-winning goal in the 80th minute, really proving an impact sub for her side, Wolfsburg, in their victory over Bayer Leverkusen in a pre-season friendly. Of course, the Women's Bundesliga isn't far away from starting either. Now, in Italy, they have started their season, but in terms of cup competition. And we saw 2 of our ladies, Jessica Nash and Jacinta Galabadaracci, both starting for Sassuolo as they knocked over AC Milan 2-0 there. It was Jacinta's debut for her new club, of course, as well. All right, that is it for the ladies. Now, let's head over to the men, and let's start in England, where we will kick off things in the Championship, where Cameron Burgess played a full game as Swansea drew 1-1 with Watford in a great game there. Now, Sam Silvera, he played a full 90 minutes as Middlesbrough secured their 3rd consecutive win with a 2-1 triumph over Norwich City on Sunday. Tom Glover was also on the bench, while Riley McGree remains sidelined with injury. Callum Elder, he got a full game for Derby County in a 1-1 draw with Bristol City. Massimo Luongo, he got a full game for Millwall in their 1-0 win over Sheffield United. And let's head to Little Australia Portsmouth. They had a 1-1 draw with West Brom, where Adrian Segicic, the star man at the moment, played 85 minutes but couldn't come up with a goal contribution in that one. Thomas Waddingham was a 57th minute substitute, I should say, whilst Hayden Matthews was on the bench but got no minutes, and Jacob Farrell was not in the matchday squad, unfortunately. Now, another Aussie derby. Rafael Borges Rodriguez came off the bench on the 56th minute and assisted for Coventry City as they absolutely routed QPR 7-1. Keely Adamson played 24 minutes for QPR, coming on as a substitute, whilst Daniel Benny was left on the bench and didn't get any minutes, whilst Jalen Pierman didn't make the matchday squad, unfortunately. Now, let's drop down a division to League One, or the 3rd tier of English football, where Joe Gauci made his debut for Port Vale in their 1-0 loss to Doncaster Rovers. Geffen Jones, he played a full game for MK Dons and delivered an assist in their 1-1 draw with Crawley Town in midweek action. And then he backed it up with 58 minutes in a 2-1 win over Newport County on the weekend. Tyrese Francois, he got a full game for Wigan Athletic as they drew 2-2 with Rotherham United. Now let's head north of the border over to Scotland, where we saw Kasuna Yengi play the first half for Aberdeen in a 2-2 draw with FCSB on Friday in the first leg of a Conference League qualifier. Nicholas Milanovic also played 58 minutes there, and the Scottish Premier League game was postponed on the weekend, where it would have been another Aussie derby where they were due to play Dundee United, I should say. Now, Martin Boyle, he played 80 minutes for Hibernian on Friday in a 2-1 loss to Legia Warsaw there in more Conference League qualification action. Now, Hearts versus Motherwell was an Aussie derby, bit of a theme going on as per usual with this podcast. And that game ended 3-3. Quite an entertaining one for those of you who caught that one. Cameron Devlin played the full game for Hearts, while Apostolos Stamatolopoulos played 69 minutes for Motherwell. Now, Keanu Bacchus, he's hit the ground running at St Mirren. He played a full game as they managed to hold Rangers to a 1-1 draw. So well done to Keanu there. That is quite a result for his side. Now, Ryan McGowan, he played a full game for Livingston in a 3-0 loss to Rangers' arch rivals Celtic. Tete Yangi, he got 25 minutes as a substitute in that game also for Livingston. Now, let's head to sunny climes in the form of Croatia, where Fran Karacic, he played a full game for Hajduk Split in a 2-0 win over NK Osijek. Anthony Kalic, he got 6 minutes in that game off the bench. Now to Germany, where Connor Metcalf came off the substitutes bench in the 77th minute as St. Pauli began their Bundesliga season with a entertaining 3-3 draw against Borussia Dortmund. Of course, Jackson Irvine is still recovering from that foot injury that was picked up towards the back end of last season and was not in the squad. Now, next door to Austria, where Jed Drew played 78 minutes for Hartberg on Monday and assisted against Noah Botic's FK Austria Vienna in a 3-1 win. Noah Botic came off the bench in the 60th minute for Austria Vienna there in yet another Aussie derby. Now to Jacob Italiano, who got a full game for Grazer AK in their 1-1 draw with SCR Al-Touch there. Now to the Netherlands, Max Ballard, he played 89 minutes as NAC Breda lost to NEC. Aden Rustic, he came on in the 61st minute of Heracles Alamelo in their 2-0 loss to Ajax. Now to Serbia, where Milos Degenek, he played a full game for his side TSC Baka Topola on Saturday in a 2-0 loss to FK Vojvodina. Now to Denmark, where Mohamed Toure, of course, the man we talked about earlier in the transfer rumour mill section, he played a full game. Came off the bench in the 68th minute for Randers, while Paul Izzo was in goal, and it was unfortunately a 1-0 loss for their side against FC Frederica. Now to Spain, Alan Mabil, he played 84 minutes for CD Castellon in a 1-0 loss to Real Valladolid CF. Over to Italy, and our good mate Alessandro Ciccardi, he got a full game for Parma in their 2-0 loss to Juventus to begin the Serie A season there. Now, over to the USA, where Kai Rolls played a full game for DC United in a 1-1 draw with Inter Miami. So good effort from Kai there, keeping the likes of Suarez and Messi to 1 goal. Now, Patrick Yazbek, he played 89 minutes for Nashville as they won 5-1 over Orlando City. They are now third in the Eastern Conference, so well done to Nashville. They are on a bit of a hot streak of late. Aidan O'Neill, he played a full game for New York City FC in a 1-0 win over Brad Smith's FC Cincinnati. Brad managed to play the first half in that one, so some increasing minutes for those who have been following Brad Smith minutes lately. Now, Ariaf Piol, he got, speaking of players that got a half, Ariaf got 1 half of Real Salt Lake's 3-1 loss to Minnesota United to round out MLS action for our Aussies. Now to Japan, where we had yet another Aussie derby. Can you believe it? This time it was Thomas Deng. He played a full game for his side, Yokohama F. Marinos, helping them keep a clean sheet against Mitchell Duke's Makeda Zelvia. Duke also started and played 58 minutes as Makeda secured a point, and it keeps them in the title race. They actually just sit 1 point behind league leaders Kashima. So there you go. All right. Well, that is it for the weekly wrap. Next, it is Players of the Week. All right, Players of the Week, and our Woman of the Week is none other than Teo Moisois Michalad, who managed a brace and an assist in the under-16 Matildas victory over Singapore that we mentioned earlier in the show. It was a 3-0 win for the girls. She scored her first goal with a brilliant turn into the box, beating her marker and firing the ball into the far corner. She then provided an assist with a threaded through ball to Michaela Gavranovic, who collected and slotted the ball home. She then rounded out the performance with an 82nd minute goal. So well done to Theo. Great performance, and let's keep an eye on her career because she looks like she could be a bit of a world beater. All right, now to our men's player of the week. And you probably noticed that I left him out of the mention when I talked about Cameron Burgess's Swansea drawing 1-1 with Watford. Yes, you know it. It's our man, Nestri Irankunda, who scored his first goal for his new side, Watford. And boy, was it some goal. Let me tell you, he curled home a stunning 25-yard free kick in that one. And it comes as a timely reminder to Tony Popovic of the mercurial forwards' talents. Don't we just agree with that? I have shared that one on our X page, so make sure you check that one out or get on YouTube and give that one a look. It is well worth viewing. Well, that's it for another week of the Aussie Football Passport. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and rate the show on whatever platform you are currently listening to this on. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon. Make sure you also follow us on social media, where I'll be attempting to share any of the transfer news that comes up and some of those absolute worldies or just any goals or assists that our men and women abroad are laying on. We are on X, Facebook, and Instagram there. All right. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.